hope you're well. So back with part 2 of today's lesson. So hopefully you checked out last week's lesson. If you haven't, link in the top here. I've been really blown away with all the comments and all the kind words about that. So thank you so much to everyone who's checked that out. Really pleased to hear you enjoying that. So like I said, today we're back with part 2. And so as I talked about last lesson, we're in the key of D minor today. So 10th fret. And we're mainly using the minor pentatonic box 1 and box 2. Now, most of you all know that, I'm sure, who are watching this, but if you're not too familiar, I'm going to just outline it very quickly. So if you want more details, go back to last week's video or look at the timestamps on this one to help you out. But I'm just going to flash it up on the screen now, a little exercise you can do. So box 1, most of you all know this, but starting at the 10th fret, 10 to 13, etc. 10 to 12, tab will be up on the screen right now for you. And a lot of the solo is out of there, but we're actually going to be starting the solo from box 2 up here. A little bit higher position. So like I showed you in the lesson last week, a little exercise you can do is play down box 1 as you get to the highest note, which will be 13 on the E string. Just slide up to the highest note of box 2, which will be 15. And work our way back down the scale. So just to get this out of the way, tab on the screen, this is a good exercise just to get you familiar with it. So here we go. Cool, so hopefully keeping up with that, and like I said, a lot of the solos will be played out of that scale, so it's just good to get that out of the way. So, I think further ado, let's crack on with the solo then. Okay, so what I'm going to do like last lesson, I'm going to play the solo at half speed with the tab on the screen. And this is going to give you more advanced players just a quick sort of start through the solo, and you can get a bit clued up on what's going on. After that, we're going to go lick by lick. There'll be 6 just like last lesson to break down. And then we're going to get talking about the outro, etc. and a few bits you can jam about with. So, here goes. Alright then, so on to lick number 1. Sounds like this. Nice and short and sweet. So we've got a nice bend coming up, and like I said, this will be box 2. So predominantly playing on the E and the B strings here. So we're talking 13s and 15s. The highest 2 strings of the box there. So we're going to start off like this. We've got a full bend at 15 on the high E string. It's going to bend a full pitch up and release very slowly. Now, the slower you release this, the kind of cooler it sounds, the more emotional, I think. So, a good example. So along the lines of that. Now, you might have noticed there with my right hand, as I was doing that bend, so what I do quite a lot is I'm using my hand, my thumb here, just to block the other strings, so I'm not getting excess noise as I push the string out of the way, or just, you know, coming into any issues there. So a good idea when you're doing a big bend like this, you're going to be in full control, so that hand is blocking all the other strings. But anyway, full bend, so to the pitch of 17. Slow release. Then we're going to catch the D root notes, that is 15 on the B string. 2 hits there. Now again, just worth noting, the first hit's quite a short staccato, and then the second one, a bit longer with the vibrato, so short, long. Just like Morse code. So you've got the full bend, release slowly into that root note twice. Okay, that's the first part. So it's worth saying I'm very guilty of adding extra bits in on these solos. So you hear me from time to time raking into that bend. And that's that effect where I'm slightly muting the strings, going scratching through them, so probably around the D string downwards, just to give that bend a bit more oomph. It's not overly necessary, but it's just a habit I've picked up over the years, something I really like the sound of. So which I've definitely picked up from learning Gary Moore songs. So again, expect to hear a lot of that throughout this lesson. I don't always mean to do it or notice I'm doing it, just, you know, thought I'd mention it. So with or without, but I always add it in, obviously. So let's try it once more with the tab on the screen. So we've got the full bend, keep the pressure on the whole time as you bring it down to release it. and the root note 15 on the B string twice, short and then a long one. So with the tab on the screen. Again, with quite a clean sound like I've got today, it might be quite hard to control that bend to get it all the way down without it fretting out or, drowning out. So like I said, keep that pressure on with the finger. As soon as you hesitate a little bit, the note will die out. So again, keep that strength on with the finger. You can reinforce the bend like I always would show people to do with the other fingers. But yeah, we should be okay with that. So the next part of this lick, we're on the E string only this time. Got a hammer on a pull off, or a pull off and a hammer on, whichever way around it is. So 13th fret on the small E here, first finger. I'm going to hit 15 with the third finger pull off. I'm going to vibrato that. So that is first finger at 13 on the E. Stretch up to 15 with the third finger, hit that and pull off. After you pull off, just going to hold that first one with some vibrato just to extend the note. So after that, we're going to hammer back up to 15, okay? So it's just 2 frets again. We're mainly using the first and our third finger. Completely 1 finger per fret, like how you play your scale. So again, with a tab on the screen, that'll look like this. So notice how we're vibratoing that 13 for a little while before we hammer back up to 15. We don't want to be picking everything too abrasive. We want it to be a bit more subtle, Especially that last note there. So really hammering that back on quietly. And that completes the lick there. So put all that together from the bend, you've got this. So a few things you might want to be just aware of. As I'm doing that, between the two parts, you might want to just think about what finger you can use in the B string here. Now, when I'm playing it slowly and I'm not thinking about it too much, I'm going pretty much 1 finger per fret, so first finger and third finger. However, when I'm playing it, in real time, what I'm actually doing is I'm coming across my second finger. I'll get close with this. The root note on the 15th fret on the B there, that allows then my first and third finger to be available for the next part. So you've got enough time to do it either way. Totally depends how you want to do this, but I just thought that's worth mentioning. So you might see me using completely only first and third finger sometimes, and other times you might see my second finger creeping in there. So I just thought I'd mention that. I'll do it once more with the second finger in case you want to follow this sort of fingering. Something like this. Again, totally up to you. Whatever you feel more comfortable with is the best way. And that's lick number 1. So just do it once more with the tab on the screen, and then we'll crack on with lick number 2. So here we go, lick number 1. Okay, so on to lick number 2 then. So lick number 2 is going to sound like this. A little bit more complicated. We're still working out of box 2 again. This time we're actually going to be going down the E, B and the G, so an extra string's involved this time. So it's a little bit slower for you, and then we'll break it down. A little bit of an awkward finger change at the end. So let's go from the start. So we're starting on the root note again, 15 on the B string. Again, there's that internal debate, should I use the third or the second finger? Again, I think it's down to you, whatever feels more comfortable. There's enough time to switch either way if you're using the third finger or the second, but figure out what's best for you. So for now, I'm going to go with the second actually. So second finger, 15 on the B, the root note. I'm doing that primarily so my third finger is available for the bend basically. But you've got enough time to hop across the string with the third if that's more comfortable, whatever you like. So you might see me switching back and forth as I try to explain this, so don't read too much into that. It's just whatever you feel comfortable with, really. So we've got 15th fret on the B, our root note. Jump up to 15th fret on the E, full bend. Again, with these full bends, we're hitting 15 on the E. Going to bend it up to the pitch of 17 if you're not familiar. So 2 frets, a full tone. Very important when you play this sort of style on a clean sound. Your bend's got to be spot on. If you're too sharp or too flat, it equally sounds bad. Okay, so really pay attention to that. So, and that is a bend up and just a full bend. We're not going to bring it back down this time. Just going to cut it at the top. So then to do that, I'm using my fingers on my pick just to basically mask the string and stop it. So then after we've muted the string, I'm going to release it quietly without hearing it. Done that in the previous solo, and then we're going to hit 15, 13 on the E. So 2 picked notes there, all together with a tab on the screen. Okay, so after the bend, 15, 13. So the more I start to overthink it, I do think second finger to begin with might be a little bit better. But again, there's enough time for you to do that all with your third and first finger. So up to you, whatever you feel more comfortable with. Okay, so after that, Return back to the root note, so 15 on the B string and then 13 on the E string. So we're adding a root note, 15, and then 13 on the E. All together, that first part. Finishing on the F note there, so 13th fret on the E string there. Cool. So hopefully you got that. I'll just do it once more. Now I'm not going to dwell too much here because we're going to go straight into this little flourish. So this is primarily just coming down the notes in box 2. Now it is a little bit awkward, but think of it as 2 sets of the same idea. So we're going to start off, B string, 15, pull off to 13. This time I'm going 3rd finger to 1st finger. That allows in your 2nd finger to jump across to the G at 14, the note A. I'm going to pick that, so we've got a pull off here. Jump your finger across to the G at 14. 2nd finger there, and that's the first 3 notes. After that, we're going to do a similar idea, but down the scale a bit lower. So, finishing at 14 there, your 1st finger still hopefully at 13, so lift off 2nd finger. 1st finger's down at 13, I'm going to pick that one. Now I'm going to do the pull off on the G, 14 to 12. Again, I'm doing that with my 3rd and 1st finger. So, as much as we can, we are trying to keep this 1 finger per fret in the scale, but again, just adapting it to if there's a bend you need to use your 3rd finger for, you might swoop in the 2nd finger, etc. I think I've gone over that a few times already, but just a bit of common sense really for this. So again, feel free to slow the video down, pause it, rewind it, whatever you need to do to see. Again, I'm trying to put as much as I can on the screen with the tabs and whatnot to keep you clued up on it, but hopefully you're doing okay with this. So again, that little sequence. One more time. So we've got 15, pull off to 13. 3rd note will be 14 on the G. And then the 2nd half, we sort of reverse it 1 note, then the pull off. So 13 fingers hopefully already there on the B string from earlier. Pick that. Then from there on, I would swoop across from my 3rd finger, pull off 14 to 12 on the G. Together. So what we'll do now, I'm going to add that on with the first part with the bend, and then we'll play it again with a tab on the screen for you, okay? So here goes. So a little bit awkward towards the end there, it just takes a little bit of practice, have a little think about what you're doing with your fingers there. So again, let's do it once more, this time the tab on the screen. Okay, cool, I'm just going to hang that vibrato at the end there just to finish the lick. Might even slide out, you know, you saw that in the last week's lesson, I do that quite a lot on these notes. But yeah, that's lick number 2. Only thing to worry about is the bend at the start. Cutting that, releasing it quietly without you actually hearing the notes to continue. And the last sort of pull off phrase. A little bit awkward on the fingers, but with a bit of practice, nothing to worry about hopefully. So there's the first 2 licks down, you're doing a great job. So I'm going to play those back to back now so you can hear it in a bit of context. So here's number 1. To lick number 2. Okay, on to lick number 3. So, lick number 3 then, sounds like this. Now this is actually then going to go into lick number 4 instantly. Much like the first solo, we had a couple of standalone licks, and I think it was lick 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 sort of went into each other. So again, I'm going to split this down nice and slowly into a few little chunks. We've actually got a pre-bend here, so that's one thing to watch out for. I don't think we've had one of those yet in the solo, so really cool little trick to implement in your own playing. So again, that lick once more, lick number 3, it sounds like this. There's a pre-bend. Okay, so let's start off. We've actually shifted down to box 1, those eagle-eyed among you might have noticed that already, so we're back into this 10-13, 10-12 territory. Most guitar players are comfort zone, so that's good news for us. So, I'm going to start off, first finger on the B string at 10, simply going up the scale. So 10 to 13 on the B string. Now I'm going 1st to 3rd finger, as you would normally when you're playing the scale. Dropping that 1st finger down to the E string at 10 for the D root note. Okay, but we're not going to hang there too long, so that's the first 3 notes, just simply going up in the scale. And I'm being a little bit staccato about it, if you want to be picky, you know. Sounds nice, I think it adds a nice bite to the sound. After that, we go 13 on the high E, so the 4th note in the scale. Then we're going to jump down to 13 on the B. So again, just using the same finger to just drop down there. And here comes the magic. Now this is going to take a bit of practice if you've not tried this before. So what we're doing here, after those 5 notes, we're going to hit 13 again, and it's a full bend. So you've learnt a lot about full bends, I'm sure, before. So 13 up a full tone should sound like 15 as your reference point, okay? However, this is the pre-bend, meaning we have to be clever to pre-bend the note before we pick it, okay? Now, if you've not done this before, it's going to take a bit of practice. That's the best way to learn it. You'll soon hear if you're out. So use this 15, B string as your reference. That's what you're aiming for. What we're doing is we're basically bending 13 up. You'll notice, I'll get it close up so you can see this. I'm moving the string up to where I think the pitch is. Then I'm going to pick it at the top. A little bit flat that time, but I'll try again. There you go, I'm going to overthink it now. But basically what we're trying to do is bend it without hearing it and pick it at the top. Ouch, a bit bad that one. Overthinking it now, but like I said, it takes a bit of kind of guesswork, but once you play a lot, you can kind of feel the resistance in the string of how far it should be. I'll do it in context. Always easy to do it in context, I think. So here we go. There you go, that felt good for me. So again, just to go over that point once more, this is called a pre-bend. So we're pre-bending the string up to the full desired pitch, so 13 up to essentially the pitch of 15. This one here, so that's a good skill if you're not familiar with this. Pick the 15, jump back, pre-bend it, pick the note, and hopefully it's matching the pitch. But like I said, what we don't want to hear, although it sounds lovely, for this particular part of the solo, we don't want to hear that. So that would be a bend. You hear the rise up of the note to the top of the pitch. What we're after is just to top the note. Very easy to overshoot this or underdo it. So take a bit of practice if you've not seen this before. If you've seen this before, don't worry about it. But just keep your ears on. You know, you want to make sure you're getting the right pitch on that. So in context again. Trickiest part once you've got that is actually applying vibrato on top of that. As soon as you apply vibrato, if you're not careful, it's going to come sour, it's going to come flat on yourself. So just watch out for that. I'll do it very slow with the tab on the screen for you now then. There you go, so that's the pre-bend. There's another one of those coming up later on the solo actually, so I have a bit more to practice. After that, simply coming back down the scale across the B and the G now. So we're going to hit 13 to 10 on the B, still third and first finger. Then on the G, we're going to hit 12, full bend. This time releasing it. So unlike before, we're going to pick it, make it go up. So hear the bend going up. Keep the pressure on and release it back down. Now, you have to keep the pressure on the finger the whole time as you're bringing the string down. Otherwise, the note will die, you know, so that's what you're after. Then to 10, first finger there. There's 4 notes. Beautifully done, just straight out the scale, nothing fancy, but you know, easy to mess up if you're not paying attention. So one thing I'm noticing we're doing there, I'm actually doing that as a pull-off. You might see this quite a lot in the bluesy style playing. So we've got the first note, we're picking, bend, release, and then actually pull off to 10. Not picking it there, okay? Here we'll be picking it. Gives a bit more exaggeration to the 10 there. Again, I think that's just going to change every time I play it. Depending on how much I'm concentrating, I guess. So I think on the tab I've written it as a pull-off. No harm if you were to pick that, but I just want to be aware of that, you know. The pick will give a bit more exaggeration to the note. The pull-off is a bit smooth, a bit bluesy maybe. Again, that's down to the interpretation of the player, I'd say. So just again, main thing I've been listening out for is the control on the bend. So up the full tone, release it, and then back to 10. I'm going to add that now on, and I'm going to put the tab on the screen for you. It should sound like this. This is lick number 3. Like that. So again, things to watch out for. Definitely that pre-bend. If you're new to that, that's what you want to practice. So again, we're pre-bending 13, silently up, picking at the top, hopefully. Applying some vibrato and trying to hold the note as steady as possible, okay? Again, as a reference, catch the same fret, 2 frets higher, so 15 in this case. That's just sort of what you're aiming for the pitch. And that'll work anywhere on the guitar. It doesn't have to be in the key of D minor like that. Say you could hit any note on the guitar, any string. So let's, as an example, so 7th fret on the G here. It's the same note. How clever was that? Didn't mean to do that. So 7th fret on the G. I'm going to go back 2 frets to 5. bend up to it, but I'm going to try and do it silently as a bend, pre-bend. So that's going to take a bit of stamina to get that, to get that very natural. But you can do this anywhere on the guitar. I'd encourage you to pick a note, high or low, thicker string, thinner string, doesn't really matter. Whatever note you're picking, jump down 2 frets and pre-bend that note up. Even if you want to practice your bends as well. A bit easier that way because you can hear the rise up and kind of adjust your finger as you're going along, can't you? But again, we're talking about pre-bends today. Very tricky skill to do if you've not done it before, but a really cool trick to add into your arsenal of skills when you're playing the blues, I think. So, like I said, simple things done effectively can be amazing. You don't have to dazzle people with lots of notes sometimes when you play the style. Less is more, like I keep saying. So, yeah, I'll do that once more, just in case I've babbled on for too long and you've lost track of what we're going on with here. So lick number 3 should sound like this. Watch out for the pre-bends. Cool, hopefully you're right with that. And like I said, this lick is actually going to go straight to lick number 4. So when we play it later on in context, it'll be seamlessly flowing through. But for now, obviously for learning, I'm splitting it up 1 lick at a time. So again, we're about to start lick number 4 now, but again, the timestamps will be below in the video, so feel free to skip back, pause the video, rewind it to lick, the previous one before, whatever you need to do to keep up with this one. So again, hopefully you're keeping up, but it's all there for you if you need it. Okay, so lick number 4 sounds like this. So we're still working out of this box 1 territory, so this will be very familiar from what we did in the first solo now. Let's break it down. I'm going to do it in 3 different sections, I think. So first part, very classic blues rock sort of lick here. Very Jimmy Page or all the greats, let's be honest. So yeah, full bend at 12 on the G, 3rd finger. Bending it up so you can hear the pitch going up, so it's not to be confused with the pre-bend from earlier. So once more. After that, you're going to put your 1st finger at 10 on the B and bar it across to the E string. That's how I prefer to do it. You could hop it down if you want to do that. For me, just making a bit of a shortcut. Works completely fine, so that's bend with the 3rd finger. 1st finger flat across the B. Either bar it or roll it across to the E string to the root note D there. That's a classic. You heard that in loads of classic early rock and roll and a lot of rock and blues. So one little thing with the picking, if this interests you, you want to get it up to speed, I'm doing down, down, and an upstroke. The reason I'm doing that, I don't know if it's incredibly important for this particular lick, but if I was to repeat that, which you have heard in many great tunes, and the reason I might do an upstroke at the end is so my pick then returns closer to the G where I need to start again. So that again would be down, down, up. I'll show you. I'll get closer. So I'm just muting my fretboard here, so I'm just, it's the picking motion. Down, down, up. If I was to do down, 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 I now have to jump over 3 strings to get back to my starting point on the G again. So again, down, down, up. You're letting your pick do half the work for you. It makes sense, right? So again, if you were to repeat something like that, which is very common, that'd be my little bit of advice there for you. So not overly important on this context because we're about to go to a pull-off. But, no harm in getting into good habits, is there? So down, down, up. If you want to try that, go for it. After that, we're going to work back down the scale, pull off 13 to 10 on the B. Or put a tab up on the screen for you. So again, for those of you who are new to learning like blues rock, this will be a great exercise to repeat. Just tag a little ending at the end there, ideally going back to your root note. Sounds cool, doesn't it? So that's the first part of the lick. Then we're going to go to this next part. All on 1 string. Always impresses me how good you can get simple things to sound in this sort of context. So we've got a full bend at 12 on the G there, 3rd finger again. I'm not going to release it. So you notice he does this a lot in this solo. It's a cool trick to have. Don't always feel like you have to always be smooth and bring your bends back down. Again, that does sound great, but too much of anything can be bad, I guess. So I just noticed we're doing a lot of cuts in this solo. So again, open to interpretation. You can make this your own, obviously. I'm just trying to teach you how to play it like the record. So, full bend at 12 there. cutting it at the top, releasing the string silently, 12 to 10. We're picking each of those notes there, so 3 picks. So with a tab on the screen, full bend, cut it, release it silently, 12 to 10 picked. Let's obviously add some vibrato for good measure, why wouldn't we? And now let's add that on with the previous few notes. Got that, okay, so I'll do that with the tab on the screen now for you. So like I said, things to remember about that, if you want to go for the picking, I was doing down, down, up on the initial part before the pull off. That just allows them to play it a bit smoother. Good habit to get into, I think. Apart from that, should be okay with that one. So it's working out that box 1 D minor. Pretty safe territory for a lot of guitar players, this, but never fails to sound good, does it? So here we go once more with a tab. At the end of that, we're going to come up a little bit. We're going to go root note, so D14 on the D string here, 3rd finger, and we're simply going to pick 10 to 12. Finish on a G root note there, or sorry, a G note as the G chord comes in. Clever, isn't it? So we talked a lot about this last lesson, how Peter Green's targeting the notes. As the chord changes come in. Beautiful, makes the solo very memorable. So something you should try in your own playing as well, which we'll get onto later on with some improvising. Anyway, back to what we're doing there, that very last part, those last 3 notes. Root note, 12 on the D, 10 to 12 on the G, finishing on G. So I'll put it all together for you, and then I'll play it again with the tab on the screen. So lick number 4 this is. You could be tempted to hammer at the end, but again, I'm trying to keep it as close as I can hear it to the recording, so I'm going to pick that. But again, interpretation, once you've got this down, you can make it your own, obviously, if you want to do that sort of thing. So once more, the tab on the screen a bit slower. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to rewind a little bit and play lick 3 going into lick 4. Like I said, when you hear this in context, lick 3 just basically goes straight into lick 4, so there's not a gap like there was in the previous 1 and 2. So this is lick 3 and lick 4 seamlessly together with the tab on the screen, if I've got my editing up to speed. Here goes. Okay, hopefully you're able to keep up with that. Like I said before, feel free to pause the video, rewind it to the previous part. All the timestamps throughout the whole video and last week's video will be in the description box, so feel free to actually read that, or just hover your mouse over the bottom of this video and you'll see the little timestamps that I'm on about at the bottom of the screen. So each part will be labelled 1 lick at a time, or intro, or whatever it is you need, so feel free to navigate your way forwards or backwards in the video to what you need. And hopefully this will help you out a little bit, save a bit of time. So, you're doing a great job, you're keeping up with that hopefully, so let's get on to lick number 5. Okay, so we've got 2 licks left, we're going to do lick number 5, and then lick number 6, and then let's get on to the outro section. So you're doing a great job on this. So, lick number 5 sounds like this. Again, very religious to the scale, we're box 1 D minor again, and we haven't done anything outrageous, no extra notes added in. You don't need to when you can play as good as this, I think. So, yeah, let's break it down. So we're starting at 10 on the G here. We're going to hammer to 12. So that's 1st finger at 10, hammer to 3rd finger at 12. You're going to drop your 1st finger down to 10 on the B string. There's your first 3 notes already. Again, I'll put a tab on the screen in a second as we get through the next part. Then we're going to jump that finger back down to the G. So you've got the option of maybe barring it like we talked about before. You could basically leave the finger pushed across both strings. Thing to be aware of on that, which is completely fine, if you are to do that, it's more likely for the notes to bleed together a little bit, which again, it's a cool effect sometimes. Sometimes you want that, sometimes you want a cleaner sound, so it depends what vibe you're going for, but I just thought I'd mention that. So again, hammer on 10 to 12 on the G, 10 on the B, back to 10 on the G. After that, we're going to go 12 on the G, 10th fret. Talked about this last lesson. Slight what I call a blues curl, which is about a quarter bend. So on the tab, I'll be annotating this as about a quarter. just enough to give it that feel, you know what I mean? You've heard that, I'm sure, in this style of music all the time. I always think of Billy Gibbons. I mentioned this last video before going on a slight tangent, but you know, you're basically going to hit the note as normal, and right at the end of that note finishing, you're just going to tweak the string a little bit, a quarter, not enough to give it a different tone, like a different note there. That'd be a half. We just want, again, I'll probably overthink it now as I've got the camera on, but just a little bit, just to give it a bit of flavour. So that in context. You want to come back down to your D root note 12 on the D string there. So I'm going to play it with the tab on the screen slowly. Hopefully you're able to hear that little curl that I'm on about. You notice when you're playing it out, this minor pentatonic quite a lot. It's always the note above the root note. So here's your root note, D, and it's always the note, the next one up in the scale from the root note usually. It's a very cool trick, so a little tangent for you. Often in the blues, you've got this relationship between minor and major. If you come back to a D chord, which is where we're playing from, this one here, 10th fret on the G, this is our minor third. Basically, for those of you who don't know, that's the note that makes it sound like a minor chord. If we have to hear that in context there. If I sharpen this, go to 11 here on the G, this is our major third, the note which you hear in a major chord, which gives you major or minor. Okay, so that's the difference between a major and a minor chord, one note essentially. Now, in the blues, okay, so we're going on a tangent, but I'll keep it short. They'll often play about with this minor to major kind of idea. So you might have heard something like this. It's a really cool trick to know about, and like I said, all they're doing there is taking the minor third, hammering to the major third, then go back to your root note. Or some sort of variation, like you'll have heard this before, I'm sure. Cool trick, but anyway, where have I gone with this? I'm talking about the blues chords, and I've gone off a tangent again, but like I said, we're not going as far up as changing it from a minor to a major note, as much as that, but it is kind of playing with that idea. I guess that's what gives it the bluesy sound. It's minor but almost major, so a little bit of tension, almost a note that it shouldn't be, for whacking down your root note and going back to the sort of safety net territory. Put it this way, it always sounds cool, so don't worry too much about the ins and outs of it, but if you're playing a root note, it's always the note up in the minor pentatonic, one after the root note, so root note, this one here. Same up here as well, so here's our D root note on the high E string 10th fret. Next note up in the scale, 13. Always sounds cool, reminds me of this. Can't remember the name of that lick. If you know what the song that is, drop it in the comment section, because I've got an awful memory and I love that lick, but I can't remember what it is. Is it Howlin' Wolf? It's an old classic anyway. But it's a perfect example of less is more, and all we're doing there was potentially like a slight blues curl on that note, back to your root note. Anyway, this tangent's going on too long, sorry about this. So let's get back to the lick. So where were we? We were on this part, weren't we? So basically, I was trying to explain the blues curl and just went off on one, but forgive me. After that, the root note, I'm going to catch 10 on the G. Now on the recording that Peter Green's doing, is just the G. I have a habit of adding the B string in when I do this. Probably from that lick I was just talking about on the tangent, but who knows. It's just a cool sound, so I'm going to mention that in a bit more detail. So on the tab, it's going to be the 10th fret on the G there. But I'm going to actually add in on purpose the B string, because it sounds nice. It's part of the scale, obviously D minor, you can get away with it. Don't want to overthink this sort of stuff, just play by the ear. It sounds good to me, so I'm keeping it in. So I'm going to go... now I'm going to hit both those with a flat finger, and I'm actually going to slide that out again. Bit of my interpretation on this, I guess, been a bit naughty, but this isn't on the original recording, you'll hear it more like that, I guess, just a 10th fret. But I can't help want to add that in. I think it sounds cool. So that lick is going to sound like this. So I'll put the tab up on the screen with the extra note I'm including, but again, remember it's an optional thing. So I'll just take that and slide out down the fretboard. I think that sounds nice. So let's go on to lick number 6. We're almost at the end. You're doing a great job. So lick number 6 sounds like this. After that, we're going to progress into what I referred to in video 1 as the tasty lick. It is pretty tasty, to be fair. So lick number 6 and then into the tasty lick from last week's video. So we've got that pre-bend, it's back again, so one to watch out for. We're still box or minor, pentatonic and D. So we'll start off, full bend on the E string at 13. Back to the F note here, 13 with some vibrato. So that's going to be a tab on the screen. 13th fret, full bend. Not going to release it. Well, I guess we are eventually, but silently is what I mean. So I'm going to release it silently and then hit 13. So full bend up. Sit at the top, release it quietly without hearing it, without picking it, then pick it at the normal pitch. So 13 full bend, 13 without a bend. Does that a lot in his solos, I noticed. Okay, after that down to the B string, 2 notes from the scale, 10, 13. I'll add that on for you with a tab on the screen. After that, here comes, hopefully you've been practicing the pre-bend from before. So it's 13th fret on the B, a pre-bend. So remember, we're going to silently move the string up to where we think the full tone pitch is. Pick it at the top. That was a pretty good one. So always easier in context. If you play the lick going into that, I always find it's easier to pitch it. If I'm just doing it straight off, can be hard to have a reference in it. But again, like I said earlier, 2 frets higher at 15. That's what you're basically aiming to get towards. So, in context with the tab on the screen. So 2 different skills there. We've got the initial bend up, cutting it. Then the second bend is a pre-bend, so that's silently taken up, picking it at the top. Adjusting it if you need to, but hopefully a bit of practice you'll be okay with that. So once more with the tab. Okay, after that, working down the scale again. This is very similar to what we had in the first solo, I think. So 13 to 10 on the B. Picking both those and into a full bend on the G, 12th fret. Again, I'm going to cut that at the top, so I'm not going to release it. Before then hitting 12, pull off the 10. G, so that all together. Okay, I'll do it with a tab on the screen now for you. From the start. Okay, to finish this one off. Return of that quarter bend, okay, that blues curl. So we're going to go 12 on the G, 3rd finger, up to 10 on the B, 1st finger, 10 on the G, drop it down a string, and that's that note we talked about, the little curl. So right as the end of the note's coming up, just a slight bit of flavour there. Returning to surprise, surprise, our D root note. 12 on the D there, so that would be, I believe there was something very similar to that in the first solo. So all that in context, I'll do it slowly and then I'll put the tab on the screen for you. So here goes. Again, a little tangent or a little side note for you there. That last could be catching the B as well. I think that sounds cool, like I was explaining earlier, but again, I'll keep it off the tab for now, but you've heard me mention it, so add that in if you want to. So, full lick number 6 should sound like this. And from there, we're going to segue into our tasty lick that I referred to in video 1. That high D minor chord, and then we're back into another verse. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play all that through lick number 6, and that little riff. I'll keep the tab up on the screen for the little riff if you've not watched the previous video. So tab coming up if you've not learnt the part before. If you have learnt it before, enjoy it again. So here goes, lick number 6 with the little tasty lick at the end. Here goes. Lovely. Okay, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go through all 6 licks one at a time. I'm going to pop the tab up on the screen as well for you, okay? So this will be a good point to pause the video and pay attention. So tabs will be on the screen. Again, refer back to this point of the video if you need to, so it'll be in the timestamps below. So this is all 6 licks together with the tab on the screen. Let's go. Okay, so hopefully you found that useful. What we're going to try now is the outro section to the song. So if you know the song well, we've learned the intro, the first solo, the second solo. I've gone over the chords in the previous video. But what I haven't got to yet is the outro of the song. So what I'm referring to here is the part where the song basically goes to a shuffle groove. And we've got this really cool riff. Let's check it out there. Certain along the lines of that. Now this is going to be a great little riff for you to learn if you're a fan of the loop pedal, or if, like I said before, you've got a couple of mates who can jam the chords. I'm going to show you all sorts to do here. So this is a great one that I like to play with my thumb over the neck. It doesn't have to be done that way. If you've not done that before, you can still use your first finger to fret the note. What we're basically going to be playing here is a D root note. So that's 10 on the low E string there. Now I will be using my thumb, which is how I like to do it. You don't have to. Use your first finger if you want to. And then we're just doing a fragment of a D minor chord. So the full D minor up here will be like this. But again, a lot of blues players want to keep their fingers available to play lead guitar, obviously. So that's why I like to use thumb over the neck. It's very sort of Jimi Hendrix sort of style. So thumb on the root note there. Then just using my first finger flat across the G, B and E at 10. That's the part of the D minor. That'll be a bass note. Root note with a thumb. I'm doing an upstroke on the E, G and B there, at 10th fret, so that's there. And we go into this. Love the sound of that. So again, that little lick is going to be, again, all notes out of your minor pentatonic. That's the great thing about learning Peter Green. It's easy to see what he was thinking, you know, where the notes were coming from. So in fact, I think in this video here, not a single note I've shown you today has been anywhere outside of that minor pentatonic scale in D. We've done box 1 and box 2. We haven't ventured to box through any of higher or lower down the fretboard. And there's been no extra notes we've slid into, no passing notes, no blues notes. It's been pretty much religious to the scale, which is great. So again, what we're looking for here is the A note here, 12th fret on the A string, 3rd finger, 10 on the D string. You're going to bounce between those 2 notes. I'll flash a tab on the screen for you. So A string, D string, A string, D string. After that, we're then going to catch the root note D. 12th fret on the D, making 5 notes. So you can apply some vibrato at the end, obviously. But what we want to talk about again is that little curl. So it's either the note before the root note or the note after the root note. It sounds super nice. So we'll talk about this earlier in this video, I think. But yeah. So play it twice for you there. Now this is actually going to go from this part of the song to the end of the song. And then Peter Green's going to be soloing over the top of this, improvising in D minor pentatonic, okay? So, what I would advise you to do, if you want to take this to the next level, to play around with it, to make it more your own, you could take this idea of bass chord. Again, that could be with the thumb root note, how I'm doing it. Or if not, you'd be dropping your hand down. one little reason why I like to do it this way, just to get this out of the way for you. This keeps my wrist low towards the floor. I'm now in a lead guitar position. Whereas if I was to fret it like a bar chord, my wrist has now come a lot lower down, and I then have to go back to sort of this. I have this wrestle between this position and this position, chord position, lead position. So the thing I like about the thumb of the neck, it brings my wrist into a position where I'm ready to play lead, basically. So that's one of the reasons why I adopt that approach when I play guitar. It's very rare I would play a bar chord like this. I'd normally go for from over the neck style, as popularised very much so by Jimi Hendrix. So again, maybe that's something for a future lesson, we shall see. So again, if you've got this bass and chord idea on the go, as long as you've got those first two notes down, how about you improvise the next part? So again, this is not what he does on the song, but this is something for you is to take it to the next level. So let's say for now, bass, chord, as we've done before on the tab. And let's hit 5 notes from the minor pentatonic. Let's just keep it simple, box on. You might just take it down a set of strings. A few examples there for you. So I'm keeping the bass, bit of the chord, and 5 notes. Now you could add more notes in if you speed them up, or less if you make them longer, but you get the idea. Have a play about with it. I'm going to show you one of the other licks he does as well. He does this. Something along the lines of that from memory, I think it is. So that would be bass chord, and we're going to do these double stops on the G and the B strings, okay? So at 10th fret on the G and the B, first finger flat, barring over those. 2 hits there, same idea at 12 once, and back to 10. So I'll put a tab on the screen for you. So that's one of the variations I hear late, right towards the end of the song, I think it is. So again, that was, I'm actually starting the root note, my fault there. So root note 12 on the D, make it the 5 notes. 2 hits here, at 10, 10, 1 hit at 12, and back down to 10 again. So again, keeping with that 5 note formula, so bass, chord, and insert 5 notes basically. Sometimes I forget how to count, I just enjoy myself, but so I mean, use the 5 notes as a basic starting point. You could obviously add more notes in if they're quicker, less if they're longer notes obviously, but for now, bass, chord, and let's call it an amount of improvising to fill the bar out. Have fun with it, make it your own. So one other thing you could try, like I said, that would be great on the looper pedal if you want to do that, so just you can play all day with that in D minor, but one other thing I want to show you, let's take this idea, move it down to the other 2 chords that were very prominent in the song earlier. So back to lesson number 1 last week. We went over the rhythm chords, D minor, A minor, G minor. Well, how about you take this riff and move it down? So again, this is not how the song goes. He just stays on D for the rest of the song, just shuffles in D and improvises over it. But to get more out of it, when I learn songs, not only do I like to learn how to play them note for note, I like to see what else I can do with them. So I'm going to take this little idea, move it down to A. So A being 5th fret. So 5 bar, root note over here, the first finger flat barring on the A minor notes from an A minor chord. So 5th fret on the G being E. And riff, just transpose the same thing down to the 5 and 7 basically. So down to G, 3rd fret, same kind of idea. So 3rd fret on the root note, 3rd finger flat across the last 3 strings, and We're talking 5s and 3s now. Having a bit of fun with it really, so you can hear as I get more into it, I'm improvising, I'm changing the ideas around a little bit, but that basic format of here's an idea in D, let's move down to the 5th and 7th fret for A, 3rd and 5th fret for G, and back to D minor. Again, let's just follow a 12 bar blues in D, because that's what the song is pretty much. When it's just strip away all the fancy parts, it is basically 12 bar blues in D. So D minor, A minor, D minor, G minor, then you've got your turnaround as well. But again, if you want to know more about that, check out last week's video. I talk about the whole chord progression in a lot of detail with all the chord diagrams on the screen and anything you need to help you out. So that was a little tangent for you again. I'm full of them today. I don't know what's wrong with me, but hopefully you got something out of that. So today, as a little recap, we've learned the 2nd solo, mainly playing out of D minor, box 1 and box 2, mostly box 1 today actually. Things to watch out for was the pre-bend. Features quite a lot of those in these solos, and then obviously we've just been talking about the outro riff there when it goes to the shuffle. So I'll finish off with a little improvising for myself so you can get an idea of what you could do with this. But yeah, it's a really fun song, so hopefully you found this video just as informative as last week's lesson. I really enjoyed doing this video. It is very time consuming for me, so I'm really pleased to see that you've been appreciating the effort I'm putting on these videos. It makes it all worthwhile, so a massive thank you if you've got this far in the video, and if you've watched last week's video as well, even better. Thank you so much for that. So hopefully this video helps you out learn this absolute Peter Green classic. It's a great track, and hopefully this will be a little introduction to a few more videos by him from me. So like I said last week, if you've got any suggestions on future Peter Green songs you want breaking down, or anything in the sort of style, like I said before, I've got a Gary Moore couple of covers that I want to knock out soon, so expect lessons on those coming up. There's some Albert King and a few various artists that I want to be doing lessons on at the moment. Actually, there's stuff that's going around my head, so again, I'll dictate it by your comments as well, so please leave me a comment in the comment section if you found this useful. Let me know how you're getting on. If you've got any other questions today in this video, please let me know below. And yeah, thank you so much again for watching. So I'll play you out with a bit of improvising. And thanks again. So catch you on the next lesson.